Hey skiers, I'm Jeff from skiessentials.com.
I'm Bob. How's it going?
Bob is skiing on another Enforcer Unlimited. What you got there, Bob?
This is the 94 Unlimited, so a little bit narrower than that 104 we previously did. Same shape as the regular 94.
Yep.
All fun.
Yeah, I did some testing on it. What was that, last week before? It's all blending together again. But yeah, super fun. I would say there are some differences between that and the 104, just an overall feel.
Yeah, definitely.
So we're gonna keep skiing. We'll try and get Bob to do some cool stuff on these skis. There's a sweet jump down here.
Yeah, the little side hit.
Yeah.
Pretty good side hit skis.
It's a great side hit ski. So yeah, we'll keep skiing and then we'll meet you back in the studio. I kind of talked about the same thing that we did with the 104, differences between that and the existing 94. I think that's a really important conversation.
Yep.
And then kind of some differences between this and the 104 Unlimited.
Yeah.
As well as everything else that's out there.
That we talked about, yep.
So we'll see you in a little bit. Yeah, fingers crossed we get some good snow here.
Yeah, pretty good day today.
Yeah. Hey skiers, here we are back in the studio. Bob, the skis are still wet.
Yep.
Keep skiing them.
That's a sure sign that we enjoy them and are putting them to use.
Yeah, so we've had this 94 Unlimited on snow for, gosh, a week now, a little over a week, I think.
Yeah, and I feel like we've had a pretty good balance of both of us skiing it. So
definitely.
Some good takes on both sides.
Yep, definitely. Handed it back and forth a couple times. We're still kind of hurting for natural snow here in Stowe.
Yeah.
But I do think we got it on a good variety of conditions and terrain.
Yeah.
Nosedive opening was like a huge blessing for testing skis like this.
Yeah, and I think the other day, just having just a little bit of snow that kind of piled up on the side, we each, at least got a sense for what it's going to do in softer snow, which is important.
Yeah, definitely. I think especially for a ski with some touring capabilities.
Yep.
And the ski's got some significant touring capabilities.
Yeah, for sure.
So before we dive into performance, let's just kind of summarize the differences between these Enforcer 94 Unlimiteds and then here's an existing 2022 Enforcer 94, the normal ski.
Yeah.
So we've talked about this construction. This will be the third time now that we've talked about the construction. We did the Unlimited kind of preview video, and then we did the 104 review, which I would encourage you to watch if you haven't seen that, because I do think we went more in depth on the construction in that than we're going to in this.
Yeah.
So Bob, as a refresher, can you remind us what's going on in this ski compared to this ski?
Yeah, so we have, instead of a denser wood core with thinner wood stringers, this has wider poplar wood stringers. And like you said, we talked about this with the 104. The advantage there is that you don't have to use as much glue or epoxy to get them to stick together, and that's going to lighten the load. Definitely gives it a different feel, more of a woody feel to it as well. You're not really relying on those extra materials for energy out of the ski. And then we get two applications of carbon. So we get a thinner carbon on the top and then a more dense carbon on the base. So instead of two sheets of metal like are in that ski, we have two applications of carbon top and bottom here. And then we still have that true tip design where the wood of the sidewall is removed starting right about here, and that lightens the swing weight of the ski. And that's one of the things that we really found, I think, to be one of the big differences between this and that was just the swing weight. Overall weight is one thing for sure, but I think the swing weight was pretty noticeable as well.
Yeah, incredibly quick. That was certainly one of the first things that I noticed. That just as a weight comparison, because I think this is really important, a normal Enforcer 94 weighs almost 2,200 grams, 2,188 grams, give or take. And this new 94 Unlimited, 1,560.
60-ish, yeah.
So a huge
Yeah.
difference in weight between these skis. You know, basically the same that we saw in the 104. At least
Right.
very similar percentage weight savings between the existing 104 and 104 Unlimited, and then the existing 94 and 94 Unlimited. So obviously we have quite a bit of a different shape in this ski compared to the 104. I think that altered its performance quite a bit, and narrower as well. So I think a good place to start is to kind of compare it against this ski and talk about its overall feel, and then maybe we can bring in some comparisons to the 104.
Yeah, and then some other skis too that I think are comparable to this 94 Unlimited.
Totally.
And I will say just right off the bat that I wish that we had a different name for the regular 94.
Yeah.
We could refer to the 104 as the
104 free, right.
but we can't, like regular, metallic,
Right.
normal. You know, I just have a bunch of different nicknames for that
Or
I
piece.
use.
You know, they could call it the Enforcer 94 piece,
Right.
which feels like it would be a bit of a cop-out, and some other manufacturers already do that,
Yeah.
so I understand why they wouldn't. But yeah, I know what you're saying. But speaking to this Enforcer 94 Unlimited, starting with groomers, what did you feel out there?
Similar to the 104, again, it's hard to talk about it without seeing it through the lens of the 104,
Yeah.
but I think that that's important.
Sure.
Is that you do get that slightly easier entry to the turn.
Yep.
You know, you don't have to drive it quite as hard as the regular 94. It does want to bring you into the turn a little bit easier. It doesn't take as much power to get the full side cut. In the 186 that we were testing, we're at an 18.2 meter turn radius, so just a smidgen shorter than the 104.
Yep.
But we definitely feel, you know, we felt this ski carve and go around a clean round turn very similarly to the normal 94. I think the difference especially is in the tail on this ski.
Yeah.
This one wants to pop you out of the turn into the next turn. That one you have to pop.
Yes.
So it's a difference between what you're putting into the ski and what you're getting out of it. And that was the biggest difference that I noticed.
So I'm glad that we felt the same thing. always is nice when we have a similar experience. But yeah, I feel like you hit the nail on the head there. It's that energy and pop out of the turn. Like, this ski is far smoother and more damp. It's extremely quiet, where this ski is much more reactive.
Yeah.
Almost how we describe head cores and stuff like that. You know, the ski itself is pretty darn stiff, especially in the tail. You know, I think especially like this portion of the ski is pretty stiff. So the rebound out of this ski is pretty darn impressive, and I feel like that's the same kind of conversation that we were having with the 104, but with the flatter tail here, it does feel different.
Yeah.
I kind of found, I would say, like, my first few runs, it took me a little bit to figure it out. I don't think it was quite as intuitive as the 104. You know, I give the tail rocker a lot of credit for that on the 104. But I found, because this ski is so responsive, and I wonder if it's a difference with our skier weights, is I had to be a little bit more precise with my skiing, a little bit more balanced. Like, if I got into the back seat or something like that, the ski didn't love it because it's so reactive.
Yeah.
So it kind of took me a second to find that sweet spot. And I think especially carving. It's so reactive and so energetic that I was almost like nervous to like trust it.
Yeah, I was going to ask if it was a confidence thing.
Yeah, it was.
That I think a lot of times that we get on skis like this that are lighter, that don't have the metal, and maybe you just don't trust it as much. You don't have the confidence. Whereas
this, you can do anything you want. Like 60 miles an hour, it doesn't matter if your weight gets thrown off a little bit. Like, this ski is gonna handle it for you. Where this, like, I think I made my best turns of the season on this ski, but it took me like 4 or 5 runs to get to that point where I trusted it. And then there's still a difference in like carving performance between them. Even when I kind of found that sweet spot for it and got the balance perfectly and kind of got the initiation right and all that stuff, there still is a difference here.
Yeah.
Like I still felt like this is almost a more forgiving carving ski for a high-level skier. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think that definitely that feels like a free ride race ski.
Yeah, right.
Whereas this doesn't.
Right.
I think that's a difference with the carving. And,
yeah.
I'm kind of glad you mentioned the back seat too, because I felt myself kind of getting back as well.
Yeah.
And having this tail be surprisingly stiff and reactive. I had that similar experience.
You're kind of like, oh, it doesn't like it when I get back there.
Yep.
Which I thought was interesting, and I don't feel that same thing on here.
Yep.
It's more like you get in the back seat and you're like, I'll just hang out back here for a bit. Okay, now it's time to ski again.
Yeah, I didn't know what was going to happen.
Yes,
when I got into the tails of this ski.
Yeah, and there were a couple moments for me where it popped me out of the turn, and I kind of got thrown a little bit. Never like too bad.
Yeah.
I could always recover. But I don't think like Nordica set out to make the world's best carving ski with this thing, but it still lays over some pretty cool turns.
Yeah, no, there's a much different application for this weight and for the shape that they've borrowed from the regular 94.
Now, kind of transitioning to like at least off-piste skiing style. Like we don't have great conditions for trees yet or anything like that, but speaking more to kind of pivoting, skidding turns, what do you think in that application?
Yeah, I've seen enough out of this ski to know that not only will it do those quick pivoting turns, but it will be a great tree ski.
Yeah.
Because I like the enforcer shape in the trees.
Yep.
It's easy to turn.
Yep.
And the fact that it's lighter and quicker and more agile than a regular 94 really gives me hope and a good sense that this is going to do great, especially around here where our trees are pretty tight.
Yeah.
Your ability to get from one turn to the next and make those subsequent turns and link them together, I think is going to be a huge strength of this ski.
And I was very impressed with its quickness.
Yep.
Its ability to just throw it side to side. It's not like slarvy or smeary. You kind of still have to unweight the tail.
Yeah.
It's like more of a traditional skiing style, so to speak. But kind of just like cutting the corners on the nosedive S turns was where I really noticed it. Like, I can just put it right over there. I can just put it right over there.
Yeah.
Really easily. It just goes exactly where you want it to go. There were a couple moments, again, kind of like my first few runs on it, where in making turns like that, my weight got thrown off a little bit, and the ski again didn't love it. And I think I even you were filming at one point, and you were like, "You got to ski lower," and I was like, "Oh right," which I kind of took as like, you ski better.
Right.
It's like, right. Once you ski it properly, it performs really well. It was more like me being lazy and the ski kind of letting me know.
Yeah.
So those are kind of the differences between the existing 94 and this, and kind of general thoughts on this ski's feel. I do feel like how it falls in the market is a little different than the 104.
Yeah, I think we're in agreement on this, where this falls more into the, if I were to have a touring ski, this is the one I would choose.
Yeah, I think so, with some exceptions.
Yeah. Whereas, and it's funny because we have the Griffin demo binding on this,
backwards.
And then we had the Duke PC16 on the 104,
right.
On that ski. So there is a difference, and we can touch on binding application as well. But I think that the flatter tail of this ski, it's just better in the skin track.
Yep.
You're going to get more grip on the uphill.
It's more precision.
It's lighter.
Yep.
So it's going to, given the same, conditions, it's going to tour better than the 104.
Yep. And I also, alternatively, I personally feel like the 104 felt more comfortable in the resort.
Yeah.
I think it's an interesting conversation, and you put some of this into your written review for this ski. I think it's somewhat ability level dependent. like in the last paragraph of your written review, you asked a bunch of questions.
Yeah.
Like, can an intermediate ski this as a resort ski? And I think the answer is a resounding yes.
Yeah.
Can an expert ski this as their resort ski? Like resort-specific ski? I don't know. Like, sure you could, but I think there might leave something to be desired. Where on the 104, like there was the top end, there was more top end capability. Does that make sense?
It does, and I think this really comes down to personal choices. And, and like I would rather ski than the regular 94 as a resort-specific ski.
Same with me.
But I don't have that same certainty with the 104 free versus the unlimited.
Yeah.
I'm still up in the air about that because I really like how that unlimited 104.
I might lean more towards the free than you in the 104 conversation, but yeah, even me, there would be more of like if Nordica was just like, you can have one or the other.
Right.
There would be a moment where I was like, I don't know.
Right.
Whereas,
for a resort ski.
For a resort ski, exactly. Whereas if Nordica said you can have either one of these skis and put a pivot on it, I would quickly take this.
Correct.
But then, like, the capabilities of this ski with a kingpin or something like that are awesome.
Yeah.
And then I also feel like I was kind of getting at, like an intermediate or a less aggressive or lighter weight advanced skier, maybe somebody who's getting older or something like that, who's not like generating super high edge angles and like worried about like extreme vibration damping at really high speeds. This might be a better resort ski. I just think it's a different conversation than the 104.
That's a heavy ski.
Yeah, this thing exactly.
Almost 2,200 grams.
Yeah.
I mean, it's very heavy. There's not a whole lot of skiers out there who are truly accessing the potential of that ski.
Right.
Like a small amount.
Right.
Whereas a much bigger percentage of skiers will be able to access the full performance of this.
Yeah.
Are they going to find the top end? Maybe, maybe not.
It depends on your ability level and And I mean, I consider myself a pretty decent skier who's pretty aggressive.
Yeah.
And like I pushed that thing really, really, really hard and like only found its limit a couple times.
Right.
So it's just it's that like self-assessment thing where you kind of have to like look at yourself as a skier and decide what's right for you. Now, I think the best thing to end with here, and you put this again in your written review, is like whether they meant to or not, I think Nordica is positioning this alongside some existing skis in the marketplace.
Yes, and the ones that I come up with are not really touring specific skis in the marketing department, I guess. I think the Rossignol Escaper kind of comes to mind as one of those skis that Rossignol puts in their free touring category, and like when they did that, I was like, that's kind of a mistake. That's a great resort ski.
Right.
Sure, you can tour on it, but are most people like? And they don't have another ski in their lineup that fits that slot, that lightweight mid-90s.
Even the mid-90s, period.
Mid-90s, anything.
Yeah.
Sure. We talked about Elan Ripstick 96.
Yeah.
Vocal Blaze, I think we both.
I think the Blaze 94 is such an important ski to think about when you think about this.
Yeah.
It almost feels like those two skis are like creating a new category.
Right.
And Vocal kind of did a similar thing with the introduction of the Blaze. They were like, here's these touring skis. Here's these free ride backcountry touring skis. And then like tons of people started skiing the Blaze 94 at Stowe. And I feel like Vocal's kind of reined that back and pivoted a little bit. Like, actually, these are good resort skis too, which is it feels like a similar conversation to this ski.
And we don't it'll be interesting to see what we end up pairing this ski with a binding to sell.
Sure.
But we most certainly pair an Alpine binding with the Blaze.
Yes.
We're not pairing a Kingpin with the Blaze.
Not to say that it's not a perfectly reasonable thing to do.
And we do it a la carte, but we don't bundle it that way.
And I would say that if anything, this leans more towards touring slightly.
Yeah.
So if we were to pair it with a touring binding, you could make the argument that it makes more sense with this ski.
Yeah.
But like, I want to put like an asterisk on like every single thing I've said here because it just feels like I don't want to like take away any potential applications of this ski.
That's why they named it the way they named it.
Yeah, again, that unlimited.
I think they nailed the name more than anything else with this ski, you know,
Right.
because it doesn't matter what you put on it. You
Yeah.
know, and that's the other thing I wrote. You can put a minimalist alpinist binding on this thing.
Right.
You could put a Pivot 18 on it.
The thing that doesn't make sense to me would be a Duke PT60.
That's the one. It's just too heavy.
Just, yeah, I mean, that would be where I would draw the line personally.
You might as well put an alpine binding on it.
At that point, yeah. Because that binding felt more appropriate on the 104.
Yeah.
Just the matching weights and stuff. Not to say that you couldn't do it on this ski, but I think I personally, if I was using it as a hybrid ski, I would go either Kingpin or Shift, and for me probably Shift, because I tend to lean that way.
Yeah. But I mean, it's just an interesting, I think, direction and conversation that the ski industry as a whole is having right now. And
Yeah.
You know, this ski was born from the proliferation of backcountry and alpine touring skiing,
Right.
but it has so many more uses than that. Like,
Right.
that was where it came from, but where it's going could be a totally different direction.
Right.
So I think that that's really interesting.
And like, who knows? Like, it would be fascinating to get this data. I don't know how you would, but
Yeah.
if like a year from now, if you could look at the data of number of 94 Unlimited sold, and then like the percentage that had a touring binding and the percentage that had an alpine binding, I think that would be really interesting to look at. Like, is it going to be 50-50? I don't know.
Yeah, and what are those people doing? Are they skiing in the resort with that touring binding?
Right.
You know, did they make that decision and
Right.
now they either enjoy the way that it skis at the resort or just found
Yeah.
that they don't have time to go skinning?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I will say, I thought of this ski this morning before I found you. As I was booting up, there were some guys. The morning touring scene at Stowe is crazy.
Yeah.
It's great. Like, maybe crazy is a bad word, but it's very impressive the amount of people that go to Stowe very early and skin up
Yeah.
before the lifts open. And I can't exactly remember what skis they were on, but it was a couple guys on very, very lightweight, like almost randonnée race style skis with very, very lightweight tech bindings. And they came down and went to their car and had some coffee and hung out while I was booting up. I kind of like was checking on them out of the corner of my eye. And then kind of as I was heading to the snow, they grabbed their skis and went back out. And they were clearly going for resort laps. In fact, I took 3 runs, and when I went back to my car, they were also going back to their car. And I couldn't help but think about this ski and think about how much more fun they would have had on those resort laps if they had been on this rather than like a super light randonnée race ski. And like, how much are they sacrificing on that 45-minute or hour-long touring trip?
Yeah.
And how much are they gaining as a resort ski? It's just like an interesting thing to think about. But I'm glad that it feels like there's more and more of these skis, which are like perfect for that crowd.
Yeah.
The early morning resort touring crowd, go have some coffee and then get back on the lift with the same ski.
Yeah, that's a good choice.
Yeah.
Or put a alpine binding on it and have a wonderful time.
And just don't go touring?
And don't go touring. You know, it's just it's a very interesting
And
concept.
hang out in your condo for a little longer. Have
Yeah.
that coffee at home.
Sure. And just the fact that
Touring's fun, though.
they've borrowed this enforcer shape, I think is just the winning combination.
Yep.
Is this shape with a lighter, more energetic feel to it.
Yep.
Very interesting.
So yeah, I think we can end there. That's it. That's the Enforcer 94 Unlimited. We probably won't do the 88 Unlimited as a full review because even this one started to feel like it was a little bit repetitive after the 104. If you do have any questions about the 88, let us know.
I think would assume that it would keep leaning to the touring end of the spectrum. And
exactly. That one gets real light.
Yeah, super light.
Yep.
And I think when you get to that width, you're losing that. At that weight and that width, you're losing that resort power.
I think so. I think there's a cutoff.
Yeah.
Somewhere in the weight spectrum. Like, you don't want to go under 14. I don't know. I don't know what that number is, but I think it's in there.
Yeah.
So let us know if you have any questions as usual. Kind of fun. It seems like we always kind of start our next season ski reviews with Nordica for some reason. So that trend has continued this season.
Yeah, they're good at getting them out early.
And we may or may not have some more Nordica skis to look at before the year is over.
Sounds good.
So keep an eye on the channel as usual. Let us know if you have any questions about these skis, and we'll see you guys out there on the hill.
Bye.